Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the ICA ChiroCast. I'm Brant Hulsebus, and we're recording this to bring to our membership what's going on with the ICA, with our leadership, our direction, and other areas that we're getting involved in. And since we're talking about those areas, what a better guest to have than our president, Dr. Joe Betz. Welcome.
Hey, thank you, Brett. It's good to be here.
Dr. Betz, why don't you tell us a little bit about where you practice and where you're located?
Yeah, I practice in Boise, Idaho. I've been here for 24 years now in practice. I have several clinics and a handful of associate doctors. And so I've been practicing predominantly chiropractic biophysics technique. And so I've been doing that for a long time and graduated from Life University right prior to that. And so I'm a proud Life alum.
What brought you into chiropractic? I don't think you've ever told me that.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't have one of those wow moments. It was something where I was in undergraduate and I was studying biology and I knew I was going to go into either healthcare sciences or work as a researcher because I was always interested in research. And after I graduated, I actually did medical research for a year or maybe 2 years at the University of Pittsburgh through the School of Medicine. And I was working in a 20 foot by 20 foot lab with no windows, 100% by myself, 12 hours a day. And it was not for not for me. And so that's when I quickly learned, okay, research maybe isn't the thing I'm going to do, at least not lab-based research. And so I started looking more back into the healthcare disciplines. And I had a really good friend that went down to Life University and I went down and visited him with my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. And we loved Atlanta. The energy on Life's campus was amazing. And just talking to him about the philosophy of chiropractic was something I really hadn't heard before. And so yeah, I decided to go to Life. That's kind of my story. So it's that simple. I didn't have one of those miracle things. And like you, I know you came from a big chiropractic family. I wasn't one of those guys either. So
So everything just kind of clicked.
it
That's
did,
awesome.
yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about the ICA. The ICA has got a lot of things going on right now, a lot of things going in different directions. I see a lot of growth. What are some of the areas that you're seeing right now in the ICA that's pretty exciting?
Man, it's funny because I always tell this story. You don't realize how much is getting done until you kind of get more and more involved, which is our problem with communication. I think our members and the chiropractic profession at large needs to understand more about what we do every day. And when I graduated, I came out well, first I did an internship with Dr. Deed Harrison, and then I came out to Boise 6 months later, and within 2 years, I became the representative assembly person for the ICA. So then I started to learn a little bit more, about what the ICA does because I was on the RA, and then I, was on the RA for a few years, and then I got elected into the board, and then I started to learn more as like a new board member, and then I spent years on the board, and then I became an executive committee member and learned even more like about what ICA was doing, and even from the shift from vice president to president, I started to learn you know, the true extent of how much work is being done every day. People don't realize the amount of the volume of contacts we have, questions we get from the public and from regulators and so forth that we're just always fielding. So we're constantly engaging with the government officials, helping states or reaching out. We had Utah reaching out within the last few days about some issues they're having with some new Supreme Court decisions that are going to affect the profession. And so we're always working on these things, and people don't hear about them a whole lot or know how much time goes into it, but it's quite extensive. I mean, right now, probably one of the biggest things we're focusing on and working on is Medicare legislation. And I think most people have heard and are aware that the ACA has a current Medicare bill. ICA's been working on a bill, and that bill is um, you know, we're being kind of working on it to get it to drop here soon into the legislature so that we can start opening some more discussion on it and the contents of it and everything. So that's a big arduous process. There's a lot of research that goes into it. You have to deal with legislative counsel and back and forth with editing. And you really have to look for unintended consequences of your language that you may not be thinking of. So there's a lot that goes into that. And that's something that we've been working on over the years, I'd say for the last probably 8 years. And I think it's bound to make some major traction here. Obviously, this session's almost over as I look at my calendar, but we're going to be maybe seeing it happen this session where it gets introduced. But obviously, with the calendar, I'm not too confident anything's going to actually take place till next year. And so that's one of the big things we're constantly working on. The help we render to our doctors around the world, people don't hear about either. We're involved in different countries with legislation. People have to realize the rest of the world's like the Wild West of chiropractic. There's a lack of legislation and chiropractic. We think we have problems here with representation and having some influence in government. In other countries, they don't even know what chiropractic is, and so they have major problems. And so we're fielding requests from doctors around the world quite often. There's a couple different countries that I won't talk about specifically, but that we're trying to help right now in different ways. So we're always working on things. And of course, the ICA is well known for all their educational councils, like you guys doing the great work with the Sports Council. These are massive programs. We have the diplomate programs for upper cervical in place, and the diplomate program for pediatrics and philosophy in place. These are massive programs, and ICA is kind of at the center of organizing all that activity. It takes a lot of work putting on a seminar, and they're putting on 10 15 of them a year. And so when you add it all up, that's a massive load of work that the ICA does just to help with education, postgraduate education. So those are some of the big things that we're constantly working on.
The things I just got back from Boston where I went to Chiro Congress, and the one thing I kept getting stopped and asked about by people said because I had my ICA button on, and I kept getting asked about this whole thing with animals in chiropractic.
Yeah, that's something that the board just this year approved the creation of the Council on Animal Chiropractic, and they are in the process of developing a curriculum for a diplomate program. So we're really excited about that. I think animal chiropractic's it's kind of the last wild frontier in the United States as far as practice goes, and the scopes of practice in the states are still being shaped and rewritten right now. That's happening around the country. And so we're involved in trying to assist in that when we can as well. But the animal chiropractic world is certainly a developing area of chiropractic, and we're really excited to work with the folks who are so involved and work so hard in that area to help kind of further along that part of the profession.
That'll be awesome to have some regulation there because I know that people ask me to adjust their dogs all the time, and I tell them I don't know the way the dog's facet joints line up. I have no idea what kind of line of drive or correction to do. So it's going to be really awesome to have leadership from the ICA step up and create a real program so we can make sure that our pets and animals see the correct chiropractor. I think that's really cool. It's a big step in the leadership. That's definitely been a void.
Yeah,
Well, let's talk a little something about that's up your avenue, your area of focus, and one of your passions, I believe, is research in chiropractic.
yeah.
Now, has the ICA been up to any neat research in chiropractic lately?
ICA specifically is, we're probably more monitoring the research than conducting it ourselves. We're so busy doing all the other stuff. We do have a nonprofit research foundation that some people aren't aware of, the Foundation for the Advancement of Chiropractic Tenets and Science, or FACTS, FACTS. And FACTS has been around for a really long time. It's funny, I couldn't find, I was trying to find it, re-find it recently, and I couldn't re-find the information I was reading. But FACTS was one of the first recipients of a federal grant for chiropractic in the profession. And so when you hear about, the very early research into chiropractic, some of the stuff that maybe even initiated the implementation of chiropractic into Medicare back in the 80s, FACTS and the ICA were intimately involved in that process. And so we've always had our pulse on research in chiropractic and focus in chiropractic, trying to help along the profession and guide it. And I think that's really where we come into play. We're working on, grant procurement so that we can help disseminate money into projects that we feel are necessary for the profession. Obviously, our focus is on the the effects of subluxation and the correction of subluxation and the impact it has on human health and well now animal health too. And so we're interested in that area specifically. My personal opinion is we've done a lot of research on chiropractic's effect for low back pain and neck pain and even headaches. I mean, it's not that it's been overdone. There's still a lot of questions to answer with those areas, and I understand the researchers are still working on those areas, but we just have neglected the effect that chiropractic is having on whole person health, and that's something that we have to foster. And from a ICA point of view, what we would like to try to do is shape the future of demand for chiropractic research and the areas where research needs to be done and try to help influence that. And so that's something that we're really dedicated to. And we're hoping, maybe from more of a, instead of a fundraising approach from doctors, we're maybe looking more at a top-down approach with, grant procurement, government grants, and try to shift the discussion in chiropractic more back to health and the effects that chiropractic adjustments have on health. So that's really what our goals are.
As the president of the ICA, I know I meet other chiropractors out in the field. I ask them if they're a member of the ICA, and they tell me, well, I haven't really joined yet. So as the president of the ICA, when I meet one of those members, what would your message be to them? Why this is the best time to join the ICA?
I mean, the chiropractic is at a major, crossroads right now, and we have an opportunity in chiropractic with the current political climate to really change the profession like we've never been able to before. Something that would have taken 30 years before could take 2 years now. And so because we have public perception of natural healthcare is elevating at a very fast increasing rate. And so we're seeing this come from the government, Department of Health and Human Services with Secretary Kennedy, discussions that they have. It's kind of funny. I watched some of the information they put out. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is stuff that I do in my new patient class, like my lay lectures. This is how I teach people about health and what health really is. And they're actually talking about it at the highest government levels. And so we have this opportunity to seize the moment. And so we can't be fumbling around arguing with one another about, terminology or different things at this vital moment, which isn't going to last forever. We understand that this window is narrow. And so we're working extremely hard to take advantage of this time. And that's our number one focus right now. And we need support in order to be able to do it from members. And so when we go and meet with legislators or with staff from the various departments in the government, we're always going to be discussing our members and that we are a representative association. And so we have to have members in order to be able to do this work. And we need political action committee donations in order to be able to do this work as well. And so the profession is at this crossroads, but the way I see it is the majority of the profession is kind of sitting back and just watching. They don't understand that they have to participate. And it's not like they need to go and attend these meetings or anything, but they need to support the people who are. And if they're not, then honestly, we're going to miss the window. We're going to miss the window if people don't start supporting the organizations that are doing this. And obviously, the ICA, I believe, is leading the charge.
Awesome. And then we have a birthday coming up too, correct?
Yeah, the ICA is turning 100 years old in approximately 11 months from now. So we're very, very excited to celebrate our centennial anniversary. And chiropractic, the ICA was founded in 1926, of course, by Dr. B.J. Palmer, and it's the longest continuously running representative organization on international level in the world. And so we're very, very proud of that. And ICA has always been very proud of its history. And so we're planning celebrations for that. And we'll be in Washington, D.C. next October to celebrate that with a 100th year celebration. And we're really looking forward to, being kind of more engaged throughout the profession throughout the next 12 months with the premise of it being our 100th anniversary, of course. So
I'm looking forward to that since there's been a Hulsebus there for 75 of those 100 years. So that's going to be a good time.
That's right.
Well, as we wrap this up, I always give our guests the final word. So do you have any other last messages you'd like to share that I didn't ask you about?
I'd say it comes back to the timing of what we have in front of us right now, and really, really strongly encouraging doctors who are interested in the future of the profession. And I think everybody is interested in the future of and health of the profession, that we have a limited opportunity in front of us to make true major changes for the good of the profession, which ultimately is for the good of the health of the citizens in the United States and around the world. And so we have this limited opportunity to make a massive impact, but we have to have doctors step up and support organizations that have the infrastructure and history to be able to go make these changes. That is just so important for people to understand. This opportunity will never present itself again in our lifetime, or maybe in the next 10 lifetimes. We don't know if we'll ever have an opportunity like this again as a profession. And so, not supporting the ICA because you're waiting to see what's going to happen or what they're going to do, this is not the time to do that. It's not the time to, sit back and let your membership lapse. It's time to make sure your membership is active. And that's also an important thing right now for ICA members, people who are ICA members, to understand, is we did just switch over our software, membership software, and a lot of the automatic payments that were being done on credit cards, those credit cards have to be re-entered into this new system. So I've run into a lot of people who think they're ICA members and they're current, and they have been for years and years, and they're actually not. They're lapsed because their credit card lapsed and they missed the messages from the home office about getting them updated. And so even if you think you're a member, I would encourage you to call the ICA or email membership@chiropractic.org and just make sure your membership is currently active and they've got your card on file for the future renewals.
In the previous podcast episode, Dr. Brian Stelzler and I went through Knowewell website and discussed and talked about it. It takes a couple of minutes to log in and get your stuff in there, but once you're in there, it's really neat website, the way it's set up and organized in the different communities and different areas. I'm a big fan of it. I'm not gonna lie. I definitely think it's worth checking out. So
Yep, it's great.
well, thank you for your time, Dr. Betz. I appreciate you. And if you're not an ICA member, this is the best time to ever join and become involved in the ICA. There's so much fun, exciting things that are going on. I'd love to see everybody at our 100-year party or celebration. And if you have questions about what the ICA is up to, you can always reach out to the main office. You can reach out to anybody in the board or any of your RAs. Your RAs will be more than happy to discuss things with you too. So looking forward to seeing everybody in the future. And if you like this, please like and subscribe, and we'll keep coming to you with more information on the ICA, its leadership, and some of its partners and things that we're up to. Thanks for tuning in.